Hi, my friends, and welcome back to KTB Creates. Today, we're going to be doing yet some more Christmas DIYs, so let's go ahead and get right into them. So for DIY number 1, you're going to need one of those Dollar Tree hula hoops. Now, I know that I've seen them in Walmart recently, if you can't find them in the Dollar Tree, but I have this one that I had spray painted in a rose gold paint, and I'm taking some Nautical rope. It's a 6.8 inch rope is all you'll need for this. And I am just going to kind of spell out or arrange the rope to fit inside the hoop and spell the word joy. So the key here is to make sure that the rope touches the hoop in several spots so that you have somewhere to glue the rope to the hoop. So here's where it gets a little messy. We're going to go in with some Mod Podge, and I'm just going to paint on 2 layers of that on the front and the back of your word, and it's just going to help stiffen it a little bit. Once the Mod Podge has dried and set into place, you're going to go ahead in and glue the edge pieces of the rope to the hoop. Now, I'm just using hot glue here, but I do recommend that you use a more permanent type solution for better hold, like an E6000 or some Gorilla Glue along with your hot glue. Now it's time to add your really stiff permanent layer. So you're going to need some cornstarch and warm water. I started by mixing this in a little bowl or a little dish. However, you could probably easily mix it right into the spray bottle if you have a funnel. So all you're going to use is 1 tablespoon of cornstarch to a 1/2 cup of warm water. And you're going to mix that up really well until this cornstarch dissolves. Put that into your spray bottle, and then you are going to make sure it's mixed well, and you're going to spray and saturate all of the rope. And I did do 1 layer on the one side, let that dry, and then I flipped it over and did yet another layer of it on the opposite side as well. This is going to be the final thing that you need to do to actually make the words completely stiff and not move at all, because it's still going to be pliable after the Mod Podge. But all of it mixed together really helps it to hold in place. And then once that's all dry, I decided to go in with just a little bit of my Waverly Antique Wax, and I'm just dry brushing a little bit on the words just because my Mod Podge layer, I didn't spread out the Mod Podge enough, and you can see in some spots where it's a little more white than transparent, and I wanted to cover that up a little bit. So just an FYI to you, if you're doing this, just make sure that you spread out your Mod Podge really well so it doesn't dry where you could see it. Once that is done, it is time to go ahead and decorate it. And I'm just keeping mine really simple, just adding a few of these eucalyptus stems that I purchased at Walmart, along with some ribbon to use as the hanger and some bow. And you have a really beautiful, I think, high-end Christmas decor for your home. Now, I like to use minimal hot glue when I'm putting greenery on things because I do reuse a lot of it and end up taking things apart. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just using floral tape here. You can use a bunch of different things. You can use hot glue if you feel better using that. So I'm just showing you kind of what I did because we're going to actually cover that right up with some ribbon. And then I'm just going to piece my eucalyptus in so it hangs down about halfway down the hoop for a really nice full look. And the final touch here, I decided to go ahead and fill in with a little bit of lamb's ear. I absolutely love lamb's ear. I'm obsessed with it. I haven't been able to find it recently in Walmart, but that is normally where I get it, and I just have a bunch on hand. So I'm going in and filling some of the dead spaces there in with the lamb's ear. And just for some extra added stability, It's probably not necessary, but I'm just going to use a little bit of fishing wire, and I'm going to just wrap it through that O and then tie it to the top of the hoop. Just like I said, for extra added security. I don't know that it's necessary, but I just decided to go in and secure it a little bit better. And then to hang it, I am just wrapping some burlap ribbon that I found at Walmart, and I'm just creating a very simple bow with the pieces that hang down and dovetailing the ends of it, tying it with some twine, and then you have your perfect little bow and you're all set to hang it. And let's go ahead and take a look at the finished result. So I wanted to remind you all, if you haven't already, please go ahead and click that like button, subscribe to my channel, and join me on social media. I love to connect with you over there. So on to DIY number 2. Now for this one, we're going to need these little DIY LED paper houses and then 2 wooden houses. And all I did was I cut the cardboard houses. I just took the front section off in different pieces and I cut them to fit the wooden houses, if that makes sense. I obviously want it like, you know, the door and the windows and the front looking like the front of a house. So that's all I'm doing here is measuring everything and cutting as I see fit. Now I did also go ahead and spray paint those houses in white. You could probably flip it over and use the back side of it, but I didn't want to see any of that red paint showing through. So I did spray paint with Rust-Oleum white spray paint. Next, you're going to take a black piece of construction paper, or this is cardstock that I'm using, and you're just going to trace out your house shapes with that. You're going to use that as the back part of the house. And I don't normally pop out the backs of my houses. I just kind of keep cutting and trimming the pieces until they fit inside the house perfectly. So that's all I'm doing here. You're going to go ahead and take your glue stick and glue that black paper right to the back of the houses. Then I went ahead in with some Waverly chalk paint and I just painted the outside edges of the house in white. Also want to make sure that you do the top portion of that house as I am doing here, because you will be able to see that after you glue the top part of the house on. And now we're going to go ahead and decorate the front of our house a little bit. I love using this garland that I purchased at Walmart. It comes in a pack. I'm not sure how long of the greenery you get, but it does last quite a while. So I like to use this for mini wreaths. So that's all I'm making here is 2 little mini wreaths to hang on my houses. And then I'm just going to go in and decorate those with a really simple twine bow and just a little bit of red berries just to add a tad bit of color to it. Then once you glue your little house onto the frame, the finishing touch is just to add a little metal roof, and then we're going to put some snow on top. So for the roof, I'm just using, these are the little cookie tin trays that you can find at the Dollar Tree. So I'm just cutting them to fit the top, and I'm simply going to hot glue them right on, and super easy to do. These cookie sheets actually come in, it's like a 2-layer thing. So you only need to cut up 1 cookie sheet and you still get the 2 layers. And then once you're done with that, you're going to take some Mod Podge and you're going to spread that on the roof however much you want to signify where the snow is going to land. All I'm using is some Epsom salt for the snow. You can find that at the Dollar Tree as well. And I'm just simply sprinkling it on and then patting it down with my fingers to make sure it stays. And then you're all set and you're all finished with the DIY number 2. And let's go ahead and take a look at how those all turned out. And for DIY number 3, we're going to go ahead and make a snowman wreath. Now, I did recently see a video that Mundee did with this, and it's adorable. So I'm going to put a link to her video in my description box. So go ahead and check that out. But this is my take on the wreath, and I was actually trying to use up a lot of supplies that I already had on hand. So you are going to need a 12-inch wreath and a 9-inch wreath form. These are those little willow wreaths. You can use grapevine wreaths as well. And all I'm going in here is I didn't like the wood look, so I'm just going in and brushing on some white chalk paint really lightly. You don't have to fully cover it, just enough to make it look like it's painted. Now, once you're done with that, you're going to take a really large popsicle stick or craft stick, and I'm going to cut it to size. I'm going to put one in the front and one towards the back, and that's just going to be for stability. So that's all I'm doing here is I'm just kind of measuring the edges of it so that it doesn't stick out too much, and then you're simply going to secure it with some hot glue and let that all dry. So I'm just showing you here how you just kind of weave it in through the pieces of the wreath until you get a nice solid fit. So I had some of these decorations from last year, and they're just the white snowflakes from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to take some fishing wire that I love to use during Christmas to help hold things and decorate things without seeing everything. And all I'm going to do is secure a few edges of the snowflakes to the edge of the wreath. I will go ahead and hot glue the large snowflake. Just for extra security, I'm adding the fishing wire to it. And then the smaller snowflake, you'll see I'm going to go in and add the fishing wire to different edges of it. I guess 4. I'm going to do 4 pieces of it across so that holds that right in place because that doesn't touch the edge of the wreath. Now, I was able to find one of these infinity scarves in this buffalo check pattern. I'm obsessed with buffalo check, and you only need one scarf for this to do the scarf, you're only going to need one infinity scarf for this to do the scarf for the snowman and then to decorate his hat. So all I'm doing here is that I'm arranging the scarf around, and I'm hot gluing the scarf to the edge of where the popsicle stick sticks out a little bit, just so you can't see that. And then I'm just going to simply tie it in a knot until I'm satisfied with the way that looks. And then you're going to cut off the remaining piece of the scarf because that's what you're going to use to make the hat. Now it's time to make your hat for your snowman. So all I'm going to use is a piece of foam board, and I'm just kind of trying to decide how big I want the hat to be. So you're going to cut one piece of foam board in a nice square pattern, and then you're going to cut a rectangular piece a little bit longer than the square piece to be the lip of the hat, if that makes sense. You'll see what I'm doing here. So it looks more like a hat here. And then you're going to hot glue the remainder of the scarf onto the foam board. And I'm going to cover all sides of this so you don't have any really like ugly parts sticking out in the back. Next, you're going to go ahead and glue the 2 pieces of the hat together so that the lip of the hat kind of overlaps a little bit because that's how we're going to glue it onto the wreath. And then I decided to decorate it a little bit with some ribbon that I found at the Dollar Tree and some Dollar Tree picks just to decorate the front of the hat. If you don't have anything, you could put like a little bow there or just make something really simple. I also decided that the scarf needed a little bit more decoration, so I'm just going to go ahead in here and make a simple little bow with that same ribbon that I used on the hat, just to spice up the scarf a little bit, and then I'm going to add some berries to the front of it to give it a little bit of color and make it stand out. And then for DIY number 4, it's just a simple DIY, taking 3 of these Dollar Tree little Christmas trees, and I'm going to show you 2 different ways to make these trees look really full. I'm sure you've seen them on a ton of people's videos, but there's kind of 2 methods to it, and I wasn't really sure which one I like better. So one method is kind of taking 2 trees and wrapping them together to make them fuller. And then the third tree, you'll see I am just going to take some of those Dollar Tree garland ties that you can even find at Walmart, and I'm going to tie them in a bunch of different spots on a tree. I think they both look really good. I think the one with the garland ties is a little bit easier to do, and it's probably cost a tad bit less than using the 2 trees. But either method is fun to do, and I'm just showing you how I go ahead and create adorable little Christmas trees. And I'm going to use this display on my dining room table as a centerpiece. So I love using cans to decorate. It's such a nice rustic farmhouse type of a look. All I'm using here is the large cans that tomato puree came in, and I am just going to simply decorate them with some leftover ribbon. I think this ribbon I got at Michael's last year. So all I'm going to do is hot glue that right to the center of both of the cans, and this is what we're going to use to put our Christmas trees in. I also went ahead and took another ribbon that I found at Dollar General, and I am just kind of scrunching it up really simply, tying it with some floral wire, dovetailing the ends, and that's just going to add a little bit more flair to my decoration. And then we are going to add some picks and berries to the front of it. I love these little rings, candle rings that I found at the Dollar Tree. I got a whole bunch of them simply because I love the red berries, and they had these little pine pieces on them with little snowflakes on them, and I just love them. So I felt like that was a good deal for $1. You got quite a few of them to use for different DIY projects. So I'm just taking one of the leaves and I'm putting that right in the middle along with my little pine branches and then some berries right in the middle. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off all 4 edges of some Dollar Tree foam. These are the ones that come in a 4-pack. They're in little cubes. So it's perfect because you're just going to use two of them in each of the cans, and it's the perfect height. And I'm hot gluing them to the bottom of the can and together. And then you're just going to stick your the end of your tree right through that. And I did also add a bunch of hot glue. Once I got that all centered and squared away, I did put a bunch of hot glue in there to make sure the tree stayed in the foam. So now I'm going to add some of these really pretty, I think you would call them eucalyptus stems. I got them at Walmart last year, but they have some glitter on them or some sparkly, I don't know, something on them that makes it look a little bit like snow. So I am simply cutting them in pieces, and I'm going to hot glue them right into the Christmas tree. And I think it just adds another little dimension to the tree. It's a little bit of a different shade, so it gives it some nice, unique interest, and just helps to also fill in some of the dead spots within the trees. And now it's time to go ahead and decorate. So here I'm just trying to give you a better angle of me adding in all of these eucalyptus branches. And I use like 2 bunches of them, so it goes a long way. And I'm just kind of randomly placing them wherever I feel like there's like a space or something that needs to be filled in. And then I also had these little stars laying around that I had from a thrift store haul. So I simply painted them with some silver paint, and I am just wrapping them around the top of the tree. And it's a perfect finishing touch to my little mini Christmas trees. I also decorated them with some Walmart mini Christmas tree ornaments. And here you'll see, I'm just going to show you how I set this all up. I had the silver tray from a thrift store haul. I'm using the little plastic container there just as a riser, along with this little white chamois that you can find at the Dollar Tree, just to cover that up, make it look like a little snow-covered perch there. And that is what I'm going to put one tree on top of, just to make sure that they're of varying heights, and it makes it look a lot more interesting. So if you made it this far, you have to tell me which tree you think is the double tree and which tree you think is just the single tree with the tie garland, because you really can't tell. So I'm just curious to see, just a little fun game, which one you think is the double tree. Is it on the right-hand side or the left-hand side? So leave a comment below and let me know. And now I'm just going to decorate my tray with some other pieces that I had laying around the house. And like I said, this will be my centerpiece for my dining room table. And I actually love the way this turned out. It's just really simple and beautiful, easy to do. And it just adds such a pretty touch to your decor. And then I'm just going to add some little snowflakes that I got from the Dollar Tree to my tray as well. So I wanted to say thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to leave you and show you what this looks like once I'm all finished here. But don't forget to go ahead and click that like button. If you haven't already, I would love for you to join my family and subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so that you receive all notifications when I post a new video. And don't forget to join me on Instagram and Facebook. I do like to share a little behind the scenes things and more personal information about myself. So I'd love to have you over there as well. As always, thank you for joining me, and I will see you very soon. Have a wonderful week.